Morning, Alfredo. Good morning, everyone.
Morning,
Welcome to
Sergio.
another episode of Future Proofed. Today we are with Alfredo, and we're going to be talking about NFTs and music industry, which is quite an interesting topic considering what's going on NFTs in the last 30 days, where made a lot of press. Everyone now is talking about blockchain and NFTs. So it will be interesting to see how a music expert is going to see this technology adoption coming in his domain.
Well, I don't know about expert, but we are definitely excited because, obviously with public pressure, we are always interested in new openings. We think that we were quite ahead in understanding what TikTok was about to do, and now we really want to have a clear picture. So my first question, which I think will satisfy lots of people, is what is a non-fungible token? NFT, and how is it different from Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies?
I mean, the answer is very simple. Non-fungible, it means there is not the same as another token. So what you have seen is the NFTs are generally today connected to art, connected to collectibles. So it means that there is a token which is unique, with, which has a smart contract, I would say, attached to the token that basically prove the ownership of the item which I bought through the token. So if it is a painting, for example, digital art, I'm gonna have the proof of origin and production of that particular art. So I'm gonna be sure that maybe it's something which has been designed by Alfredo Violante, and I purchase it with the token by buying the NFT token. And the fact that it's non-fungible, it means that I don't have another token with the same art that you produce, if you know what I mean. So that token is digital, but it represents individually uh, that digital art which is attached to the token. While in Bitcoin, generally every Bitcoin token, I mean, you can have Bitcoin, you can have the Satoshi. I mean, without really touching how it's fragmented the Bitcoin ecosystem, uh, you can exchange Bitcoin, right? Now my Bitcoin is the same as your Bitcoin, so I can give you Bitcoin, you can give me Bitcoin, and they always have the same value. Why in art, obviously, the value of one token is different from the value of another token, because the art which is attached to the token is different, so people perceive it as a different value. That's really the non-fungible part of the token.
So our impression was that the previous experiment around the blockchain technology um, were sort of like affected by the bad press about Bitcoin. Obviously Bitcoin had a lot of bad press from the mainstream media, and therefore they kind of sort of like went unnoticed. But there were, the idea of sort of like selling music through cryptocurrency and everything. But with NFT, it looks different. A few artists, a few musicians starting to adopt NFT on the back of platforms selling art. I'm thinking of King of Leon, FX Twin. But is there a specific platform for music, or is just this kind of artist kind of like piggyback on art platforms?
But you have a few examples which are dedicating only to the music industry, because obviously when you have a trend at the beginning, it's generally multi-product, and then slowly you realize that one industry is speaking better than another one, and you see an opportunity to go vertical on a specific industry and produce something which is dedicated to that specific industry. So to be honest, it's too early to say whether we're going to have 10 or 15 music platform, whether it's going to be one, whether the actually most interesting trend is going to be to have I don't know, a multi-industry sort of platform, because it makes sense that, I mean, art and music, they're going to sit in the same environment, because you find new, if you want, common factor between the two industry and the artist, because at the end of the day, we're talking about the artist. Everything is centered around the interest of the artist, the ability of the artist to monetize whatever he produce during his life. And then, I mean, starting at the beginning, the bad press, I just want to say one thing. I'm not really sure you're not going to have bad press coming into place also on NFTs, right?
True.
Because everything new is always well perceived because it's something new, so people get excited. Then when you start realizing that the new is going to change the industry architecture, and blockchain is always about intermediation. So blockchain always changes the role of the middleman. So I'm assuming that even in the music industry, like in Bitcoin, which is basically the financial industry, all the middlemen are making a lot of money. So by the time you realize that the sort of evolution and technology adoption is going to decrease the profits that the middleman can do, I'm assuming that you're going to have a sort of reaction. And that's what we call disruption, right? We are going towards a better model. So one thing is creating a sort of vision for the next 20, 30 years and understanding how we can democratize an industry, how can we improve the business model, how can we make sure that the artist is going to be sure of earning what he's supposed to be earning, how we can set the rule in advance about the split of royalty, how can we decrease again the middleman power and leverage that often is in his hands now when you
Well,
in many industries.
the impression what we've seen around is that is kind of happening already. I mean, Spotify is itself kind of disruptive. The problem with Spotify, and is trying to cut the middleman and so on. Artists can sort of like manage themselves through Spotify independently. And the only problem with Spotify, I mean, the big elephant in the room is how they pay artists, which is basically dividing a cake. So you're basically participating to the divide with Nicki Minaj and Drake, which is obviously not really fair with small artists. And this is why SoundCloud now is basically have a new proposal, which is based on sort of like ethical payments to artists, and is going to disrupt and try to go head to head against Spotify. What is missing in all this picture is a giant that does exactly what SoundCloud wants to do, or to a certain extent what Spotify does, but with blockchain technology. Why not? Is because it's too late for this company to change their architecture, or is because they don't want? Do you think there's somebody that is lurking in the dark and ready to jump out and be the giant of blockchain streaming, for example, or is too early? What are your, what do you feel?
That's a very interesting question. I always feel the redesigning the software architecture of an industry is not straightforward. So I'm assuming that you have sort of blockages along the way. Blockchain basically redesign the way that you access the information and the way that you plug information into the system. So this one generally involve multi-actors switching to the technology. So it's not just one platform that can switch, and now suddenly we have a new industry and a better model. So historically, it takes a little while. It's a little bit like electric cars, It's very easy to produce the electric car because we have electric cars since many years, but then creating the whole infrastructure to serve the electric car, which is going to involve a number of new players to install the charging station, to change the way that you service the car, to do a number of things, that is taking years because you have a sort of reluctancy, I think, of some industry players which prefer to stay in the old style economy, but at the same time, you have to convince a huge number of players, which are the middlemen for the services of the industry. So my bet is, I'm not really sure. I would be interested to hear what you think, But my perception on looking at many industry from the outside is that that's the main struggle. So how you convince all the actors in an ecosystem to switch technology and switch business model. That's not easy to do. So you have to drive that process. And it's the old strategic question. Tesla drove the process. There is an assumption that Tesla, the only thing they wanted to do is innovate on energy storage and autonomous driving. Because the real value into a Tesla is really the software and the artificial intelligence to go to autonomous driving. Is considered the car manufacturer with the most advanced autopilot system in the world, and is the one that is producing, if you want, more mileage out of the batteries. So even energy storage is the most advanced. But to make sure that he could drive the industry towards electric driving, he had to make cars. And he also had to create the charging network. Otherwise, maybe this disruption would have happened much later on, because it would have to wait for Porsche or Mercedes to say, "Oh, can we have now the batteries?" And actually, what he has done is basically doing the whole pieces itself, to make sure that it could bring the disruption in the industry. That's the usual argument. So how can one platform and one player I reverse the question. Which is the right platform and the right player to actually take over this disruption? Do you see someone that could be leading, or do you see a visionary that could be leading, a little bit like Elon Musk has been leading this transition to electric driving?
Well, yeah, maybe not, because I'm thinking, SoundCloud has been sort of like in kind of trying to remodel themselves for the last, I would say, 5 years and everything. They probably would have had sort of like the kind of desire and dynamic to do something really disruptive. They haven't. Bandcamp model has been the same for a long time. No, I don't. Yeah, you're right. I don't. And I think that probably there's going to have to be a lot of failed experiments and so on. But what I see is that is the excitement around NFT. I mean, I don't think the NFT is the perfect way to introduce blockchain into the music industry. The best way would probably be streaming, right? Because that's where the industry is going, just fits perfectly. I don't know. Is there somebody in thinking of coming up with it? I don't know. We'd love to. I mean, it's like it's public pressure. We'll try. Like we always try to actually go into the arena of blockchain, and we tried already like a couple of years ago. But it was 3 years ago, actually. It was really, really, really early. So take payments with cryptocurrency and everything. That was not really possible. We gave it a shot, but it was an experiment. We want to try again with NFT. I think this is the way, because the media are responding. There is a bit of noise about it, and anybody can really try. To sort of like to put their music or their art in NFT platform, as I said, as Aphex Twin, Grimes, and King of Leon did. So I think I see this as an entry point. I always loved sort of like the blockchain revolution, and I think that this is, like you do, obviously, with all the work you've done, and it would be really, really great. And sometimes you need a bit of luck, you need the right idea, and I think NFT is the right idea. Simple as that. It can be attached to sort of like limited copies, and lots of artists are already selling only 100 vinyl. So basically they go on two levels. They go super fans, so maybe a cassette or a vinyl, right? And they're more than happy to sell 100, 1,000 or something like that. I know label, they do sort of like avant-garde electronic. They have this beautiful record, only 100 color, incredible packaging and everything. They are only on Bandcamp. You can stream them. They sell mainly in Japan.
So let me ask you the interesting question. How does design art, if you want, the visual part, gonna work well together with music? Right? Because what I've seen is that every artist in the music industry who has launched an NFT today is somehow attached to some form of visual art, digital art. Right? So I'm trying to figure out, is this really what the fan wants? So the fan wants to own the visual art, while actually the artist is known because he creates amazing songs. So what's the long-term link there? Because I'm struggling to see it.
Well, I'm dying to tell you. Well, you know me very well. We know each other.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I asked the question, because you have the two versions in you.
Yeah. You should know how I think. So I'm gonna answer with a sort of like in my usual way. Let's go back in time, right? It was inconceivable for music to be actually recorded and detached from the live experience. and yet the technology won, and now we've got recorded music, right? When MTV came along, unless you had a video, you were going nowhere, right? And that transformed music. So I don't know if it will, but it happened already in the past many times. That's my answer.
Yeah, but it was always about distributing the same piece of art. That was music.
Mm-hmm.
So before you had the artist that could play only live. So you had to go to a concert to listen to the artist. Then you had the recording coming into play. So suddenly you can have a Walkman and walk in the street and listen to the music and the artist.
Yeah, but
And then
MTV,
and
MTV.
then MTV, you can have videos. So instead of just listening, you can see.
Yeah.
But it's the same form. What you're looking for, maybe the video part is the real transformation, right? Because it becomes a lot about production. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Madonna, I'm thinking about Elton John, even the way that the artists come dressed, or Michael Jackson, the way that they come dressed, the way that the production of that event that goes on TV makes the artist, basically, makes up the music. Without the visual part, the music will lose something. That's maybe where my mind is going. Correct me if I'm wrong. But now we're talking about launching a song with, I don't know, a visual art. I'm taking an example which I've seen recently with the design of 3D fishes running on your screen. And I'm wondering whether I want to sit on my sofa and listen to the music with my friends and say, look, I'm the only one that owns the fishes. Who cares?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Who
as I
cares
said,
or not?
yeah,
The question is, we
you're right.
care or we don't care? I mean, is the trend something that is going to stay or not? That's my real artist question to you. How do you see it?
I see it as I said before. I see it as an entry point, right? Really, and you don't have to agree with it. Nobody has to agree with it. But the way I see NFT is this, right? Blockchain can transform the industry, will transform the industry, right? I like you. I believe that at the end, where it takes a year, 5 years, or 10 years, blockchain is the transformation. It may be called something else, it may be slightly different technology, but the idea of blockchain is what will change, I think, all digital industries. So my excitement is this. It's like, wow, now we have a way to start getting involved as artists with blockchain. It's NFT. What is it going to be? It's up to all of us. How is it going to change? It's up to all of us. Like, for example, I can imagine, if Bandcamp was interested in say, oh, by the way, we put a little NFT engine, and now when you put vinyl or cassettes on Bandcamp, you can sell them as NFT. That would kind of how to say, put more new energy into Bandcamp, for example, and then they could move on to another way to sort of like to tie music to blockchain. I mean, and that's what I would like actually to now move the conversation to, right? Supposing that NFT, it's a way to kind of like, supposing that NFT kind of gave us a new start with blockchain, right? The bad price is gone, cryptocurrency and everything. Now it's all about, the value of these pieces of art and everything. What's next? What can we do with blockchain, right, and the music industry? What other things we can do? I mean, I kind of have some ideas, but I'm sure you have plenty of ideas, and let's exchange some views.
But listen, I don't have all the answers because we are designing something new. So somehow this is a sort of globally crowdsourced exercise, and the approach is always very simple. Like it's like the example that you made before. Then MTV came along, so TV came along. So I have a new tool. So how do I use this new tool to improve my industry? No, that's the question for every technology advancement. So you can see, I'm trying to identify the trends. You can see that you're going to have a sort of infrastructure trend. So by putting technology like blockchain into the relationship with all the actors, how can I improve the flow of royalties? How can I guarantee So I'm actually looking at some structural part of the industry which can be improved. And there is one line of, if you want, disruption, innovation that can come in the industry. Then the second aspect, the second trend could be the business model. So I can innovate, for example, the relationship between the artist and the fan. So I'm looking at the Kings of Leon, the launch of the NFT. So apart from maybe the collectible of the cover of the album, because that's, I think, it was part of the stunt which has been done recently. But what you often have in there is, for example, the access to the concerts. So I'm a fan, and I'm trying to bring on the table my economic mind. So my economic mind tells me that what is the cost of myself being a music fan? The cost is the subscription to iTunes or Spotify or whatever is the platform I'm listening music, is the cost of the ticket for the concert, is the cost for the videos, for the video streaming, or I mean every form I have to pay for to consume that particular artist in my daily life. So one question I have is, can I invest in this process? That's what I'm asking myself recently. So can I be an early adopter? So can I buy an NFT for $2,000 that is going to guarantee, for example, lifetime access to the content of an artist, and discovering along the line that a sort of non-known artist is going to become Michael Jackson? So
Sure.
the NFT, what is going to be the value increasing in time of that NFT? So actually, is being a fan going to reward me in the future and just not be completely a cost? And
But
that's and this try. Let me finish. I'm going to do the third one, and then maybe we can bring the conversation. And this one comes, for example, for the gaming industry, because the gaming has always been a cost. And then what I've seen in blockchain, because you get on a game and you have all the upgrades, that I have to buy the sword, I have to buy, I mean, all the pieces I need to create my actor and make it stronger to win the game. And then suddenly you have blockchain coming along. You don't collect points anymore. You collect a token which has got a liquidity value. So the token can be converted in money. And suddenly you have little kids in Vietnam which are supporting at 12 years old. They're supporting their family by playing games. And this is a hell of a revolution, right? Because suddenly, I mean, playing the game was not economic and now it becomes economic. So that's what I'm wondering. I mean, can I make my being fun economic? So is these things going to change the relationship between the fan and the artist together maybe with the infrastructural part? So it's going to create a better way to pay the artist. So all these things together are gonna change the industry. And then the third line is what we were talking before. So can I bring a new part into the industry? And as much as MTV brought the video, so it was not anymore about listening music, but it was about watching concert and performances as well. It was my previous question. So can it be a sort of relationship between music and visual art? So can the artist play on collectible? Can the artist actually become more of an artist? Because suddenly these two things, they come together. This is like the free trends that for me blockchain is going to bring in the industry. Then how? It's too much of a long-term
yeah,
shot
well,
to
of course.
say.
I mean, it all depends on the music. For example, in electronic music, there's artists like Bjork, Square Pusher, and of course FX Twin that heavily rely on images. Actually, it's part of the experience. Is really, you get really wowed when you sort of like look the video attached to a track from Square Pusher and so on. So yeah, I think it fits some genre. It fits less maybe others. So maybe artists that maybe are into hip hop or alternative rock and everything. We'll have to find a different way. But I'm saying that, but also there are other things, and the world moves together. Like for example, I've seen amazing videos from hip hop artists, which are basically off the wall cartoons, right? So there is also a way to communicate that is changing through internet, social media, TikTok, Instagram, and so on. That is already forcing artists to think visually in a different, abstract way, right? So I'm also this sort of like these years of lockdown and everything forced musicians that are in traditional punk rock bands and everything to do more studio activity. And when you're in studio, you tend to work differently than when you do live, because live you sort of like try to rely only on what you can do live, you know, a bass, a guitarist, and a drum, vocals, and that's it. In studio you can do whatever you want. So I can see that the lockdown and digital art and internet and everything is already changing traditional music like rock and hip hop and everything, and making it more layered, more introspective, more elaborate visually and sonically. So yes, I think it will change. Another interesting thing, there is a sort of like, which is not good news, because it's always sad to see sort of like some aspect of music kind of like suffering and everything, but we have always less and less bands, because social media doesn't fit bands, because now people want to have a direct relationship with artists, and it's very difficult to have a relationship with a whole band. So artists, single artists, whether they're big or small, right, they tend to be more proactive on social media and everything, and to have a clear dialogue, and therefore there's less and less bands being formed, right? So you can see how everything altogether is changing music. It's not just blockchain NFT. We are going through a social and behavioral change in music. I'm not saying that means that something is going to disappear and everything. No, to the contrary, it can, you know, you can start a renaissance, but it's changing, right? It's changing dramatically. And I think this is just, you know, another change. But going back to before, for me, we were talking about, you know, is there any platform that offers, I don't know, streaming or selling music through cryptocurrency, through blockchain, let's say? Yes, there is. There was 3-4 years ago. You know, I'm thinking of Musicoin in California, and so many audios, you know, with the dollar sign, with the token, the audio token. But they didn't cut the mainstream press, media, right?
No,
NFT
I agree, but
is
because
that.
NFT is a stunt, right? Cioè, NFTs now is a very clear and a very specific application of a technology adoption. So NFT allow you to do, I don't know, a press article saying that the crypto art has been sold for 63 million, to tell you that the sort of cover of the album of that particular band or that particular artist has been sold for $140,000, right? So it's immediate, because it's always like that, because people don't really get excited about infrastructure and architectural changes. So if you say, oh, now you can stream like on SoundCloud, but you do it on blockchain and this is the benefits, boring, because actually it's boring. No, it's much better to work on B2C sort of adoption. So relationship between the artist and the fan, the fact that maybe you buy the collectible and in 2 years it's going to be valued 5 times. So the artist that is making picture of himself since 2008, they suddenly go at Christie's or Sotheby and sell one for 69 million. I don't remember exactly what was the amount. So this is what gets people excited at the beginning of the curve, of the early adoption of the curve. So, I mean, that's where I think the next application are going to come. They're going to come at improving the relationship between the artist and the community. The angle is, what are we going to improve? Are we going to improve the way we pay for a for a ticket at the concert, or the way that we pay for the subscription? Maybe not really the beginning, because it's going to be, I'm thinking that the royalty payment infrastructure is going to come later on. I mean, I would bet that if you do this infrastructure in blockchain, is much better than in traditional technology, because it will guarantee that the 30%, 40%, 50% is going to fly into the artist without having to control through intermediaries or rely into middlemen, because that's how the technology works. But then you can also somehow monetize your relationship with the artist. You can pre-sell your future success through NFTs. You can create super communities. You can create VIPs, or you can create, I don't know, a number of stunt with different characteristics. So you can, I think, innovate on the way that you make your community consuming your content. And that's where I think there is a lot of innovation that can come in the next few months, because it's the most straightforward exercise to do, especially in a pandemic, where I've seen like concert going live on YouTube with the major DJ in the world that you would have never seen pushing the music into YouTube channel, because I mean, I would guess that they were flying private from Amsterdam to Miami to play at a particular party or in a particular club with a well sold sort of event. And now, I mean, I've seen a few sponsored by Heineken as well, where you see all these, I mean, crazy good DJs all live in YouTube. I'm not sure if that stuff has been sold. Maybe the live event has been sold, but then you have a free access for anyone else. So what is gonna be my driver to pay for something like that? That's my question. Assuming that everything goes online, and online the fight is he has to cost as less as possible and he has to be sold to as many people as possible. Like I think that the online streaming goes on the number of people that you have around the world. If you have 9 billion people paying Spotify, I mean that's the revenue of Spotify, right? Full stop. If it's $1, then if it costs $10, it's like 90 billion potential revenues. But that's it. I mean, you cannot have more accounts than the people leaving. Am I right?
No, absolutely, you're
Unless
right.
alien are going to come to us. So that's the maximum revenue. So how to create extra revenues out of something? So either I grow by growing the user base, or either I create better way to engage my user base. And that's where I think blockchain is going to come into place. So the token economics, the rights attached to the NFT, that's where I think the industry is going to become very creative, no, in figuring it out what it's going to be the intrinsic value of myself owning the token. Is he accessing the concert? Is he accessing a VIP community of the artist? Is he having specific design and art attached to the token that tomorrow is going to have a better value? What else can be done?
Well, obviously, like, we talked before this conversation, me and you, about a few things. We were talking about something very interesting, which was basically sharing the ownership of a master. Lulu, that's my dog. As soon as we said sharing ownership of a master, so like obviously that
she's got something to say. Maybe
ownership of mastering.
Maybe she has the idea and we cannot understand it. Imagine.
We had it and we let it go.
If I only could have listened to my dog during the live.
So what do you think? Ownership of like I put a track out and I say, okay, if you really believe in this master, own it, and the cost is, this and this. Could that be an interesting proposition? So that actually fans not only that fans can actually participate to the ownership of a track. Again, there's something it doesn't.
She say no.
Or a squirrel outside, maybe the second.
She say, bad idea, Alfredo, bad idea.
Bad idea.
But to be honest, I tend to think always on economic terms. So what's the benefit and what's the advantages? So when I talk about, I mean, the master, I'm thinking I'm gonna crowdsource the production of my music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that could be an angle. So I don't know why. Maybe I'm completely wrong. It's always like personal opinion. No. But I tend to think the young artists, emerging artists could use this dynamic to create a VIP room, which is not only the initial fans, so the very early adoption of the art, but is also the sort of crowd investor in, I mean, you're going to help me to become famous. And if you're going to help me to become famous, that token that you're going to hold, it's going to be income for you. So either we're going to share the royalties over that particular song or over that particular album, or either we're going to share even the concert revenue. So the message to the community is you believe in me, we're gonna share the outcome.
Yeah, you are basically it's like you're the label. Basically, we are together. We bypass everything, and we put ownerships and financing into the blockchain system, which is incredible, because
And you level power, because maybe it doesn't mean that you substitute the labels, but maybe you just take a bit of power, sovereignty, out of the label. You say, listen, I've got investor, I got a bit of money, I can push my content out. So to be honest, I'm not gonna give you 50%. I would be happy to work for you. I would be happy for you to produce some of my stuff, so together we can grow bigger. Maybe 20%, 15%. Right? So suddenly, you have a big change, because, in the numbers of a big artist, if you can take back, I don't know, 10% of the royalties, a hell of a lot of money that gets redistributed back into the community.
Absolutely. And anyway, it's already happening. So many artists are just, taking care of themselves. Actually, one of the best, it's not cheap, but one of the best platform I think came out recently was Master United. That was really, really interesting. And they've very simple platform and everything, very much millennial, if you forgive me for the word, for the marketing word. And they are really their message is really like take control, bypass the label and everything, much more than, in a way, the DistroKid and City Baby where you don't know them, but basically what they are, they're aggregators. Basically, if you want to be on Spotify or Apple Music, you need to go through an aggregator. You can't go directly. You can't knock Apple Music. You go to an aggregator, and then they have different models. Basically, they say, okay, pay once a year a small amount, or every time you put a track on Spotify, you pay one fee once, and that's how we go on Spotify and Apple Music, not directly, right? Or labels through aggregators. So again, blockchain aggregators, that would be a winner. That would be fantastic. All that would be really, really good. But going back, sort of like to.
But what I think is always the key.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that how democratized an industry is.
Yeah.
Which means how easy is for someone with an idea and a skill to be able to sell and access the community of potential buyers. And that has been the main disruption with digital technologies, like bringing a product to market without Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform, without the digital, without the e-commerce, without the social media. The cost was much higher. So
Yeah,
the power of negotiation of a distributor or something or that particular entity that would have helped you to sell that good or that service, it was huge. And what technology has done is basically decreasing this power and allowing people to launch product and services in a much leaner way. That has always been the bigger disruption.
Yeah.
You can nail down smaller services, smaller product, so more focused, more specific for a very specific audience, and you can do it by yourself.
Oh yeah, we discussed that. We want to have a go, public pressure.
Exactly. So the angle is there one. The angle is how can I facilitate the ability of an artist to penetrate its market? Yeah. And that's where social media has been helping a lot. And now the question is, can NFT actually accelerate the democratization? Can NFT create a stickier relationship with the user base and actually eliminate part of the friction that you have in the ecosystem and make sure that the artist can benefit more from his own services?
Absolutely. But the reason of this sort of like of this video with you is actually a kind of call to arms, because I would really like people to artists to start play around with NFT and see if we can respond to the initial excitement of artists like FX Twin and the press echoing it, and jump on board and show that we actually are interested in a different model, blockchain model. That to me is the value of NFT. It's not in itself, NFT. I hope NFT will probably stay forever in a form. Will it explode? No, like maybe you don't even want it to explode. You want it to be something very limited, to particular super fans and everything. But it's going to create excitement, hopefully, in the artist community, and experiment more with the blockchain technologies, which is going to, as you said, accelerate that. And look, we are here. I've seen in the last 3-4 years loads of blockchain projects linked to music, but there was never sort of like caught our attention like NFT, because we felt there was a different kind of noise about it. It was most present. It was something more appealing about it. And here we are. We actually are creating a page, publicpressure.org/NFT, where we are encourage people to write to us and receive information and see if we can sort of like carry on this conversation, and maybe, who knows, even sort of like look into starting our own project within NFT.
No, but I agree with you, and I hope there is sort of live exercise, maybe just a proposal. Maybe after these videos, there are going to be a few artists within the public pressure community which are happy to join us for another couple of conversations. Maybe it's going to really...
That would be really, really good. That would be
really help us to understand how they see it, because it's not important to see the technology, because we understand technology, or at least I understand technology very well. What is important is, how do you see the future relationship? How in 15 years will be the relationship with your community? Where do you want to innovate, and really trying to grasp in the sort of millennial artistic vision on how it's going to work, how it's going to relate to his fun. And that's where I think we can build a sort of interesting vision about what we can do with these NFTs and blockchain.
Absolutely. We absolutely have to do that, and it's very important to sort of like look at new trends. I mean, recently we've been doing article on artists that do bedroom pop, which is a genre, would you believe it? And it's fantastic. And the thing is that, maybe 3 years ago we wouldn't have done that, but if we don't, then you miss out. You stay behind, and that's important. Not that doesn't happen, but
you know what I was thinking? Sorry if I interrupt you. Sure. I was thinking for a second. We decided to come live today and discuss about a sort of, by even business idea and project ideas that we are developing together. Then we're going to do a number of videos with a number of artists. So somehow we are outsourcing or publicly building a business proposal, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I mean, if you attach an NFT to these videos, you actually can prove the IP rights that you have on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or at least if someone is going to listen to the video and basically steal the idea at the end after 6 months that we are discussing how to do it. I mean, the world is going to go on your channel and say, oh, hold on a second. These are the guys that actually started 6 months ago, trying to figure out the other guys just copied him out. Right? That's got a sort of value, like to figure out the process of the artistic or the business or whatever way that you actually get into a result. That is something that doesn't come up. You normally see always the end result. That's, I think, is another angle.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, going back to the value and sort of like of NFT, to the importance of it, is that is the first time that we want to get involved. So there is something sort of kind of exciting about it that wasn't there before. Before I was watching it and I'm thinking like, this race doesn't belong to us, but we will apply to it, but we don't want to run, if you know what I mean. When this thing happened, I saw, like, we were discussing the fact that there isn't real platform that is dedicated exclusively to musicians. Whether it's right or wrong, there isn't. We can see that the format, the NFT format that we see on art platform is a bit tight for musicians. They do a 20-second things because that's what they are, these digital memes, like these unique things. They are just like piece of digital art, very, very, very short and everything, but somebody's going to come up and say, I'm going to do something better, longer, more intricate and everything. So there's going to be sort of an increase, I think, in quality, actually, in terms of NFT and everything. But above all, we need more musicians, more artists, more players, as you said, thinking, what else can we do with it? You know, great. Thank you for the introduction. And yes, I think this is the time. It wasn't 2 years ago. I'm sure that loads of sort of like player from 3 years ago, they thought, oh, we wish we were starting now. You know, they maybe their model is a bit dated already, and so on. But I think this is the Trojan horse. I think NFT at the moment it is, and even if it's not, it's a little step ahead. You know, we have to sort of like bite into it, help it, right? And if it kind of like doesn't happen, there's going to be another, you know, little stunt, as you call it, and more we can go towards blockchain, which, let's not forget what it is the complete democratization of information on the internet.
But which I agree with you. And then while you were talking, I actually had another sort of thought, and it is there is, in this particular time, you're looking for the participation not only of the end user but also of the producer. Like in the past, you always been sold. That's it, right? So suddenly you're doing music only live, and I say, oh, look, now we have this stuff, and you can record your music. So why don't you come here and pay me? But you never participated in the creation of the new tool, right?
Yeah, correct.
Why I think we are in the sort of phase. So even the way that we are doing it is, listen, the only thing that we know is that being in an industry, we picked a new trend. We figured out that there's something very interesting and super cool about blockchain, NFTs, possible new business model, community engagement. But then the call to action is always, would you like to sit with us for a little bit? And we try to figure out how this tool can actually help you through. And it's the first time in history that this is the process. And that's what I really like. That's what I call democratization. No, I'm not pushing you to use a specific platform which I designed because I'm Bill Gates. So you know that from tomorrow, for the rest of your life, you're going to write on Microsoft Word. Okay, cool. I mean, can I have the copy and paste function, please? Because we are used to that sort of innovation, like being pushed innovation into our lives. And suddenly we are in a phase where we can actually participate in the creation of the model that is going to help us through it. And that's, I think, is a major shift.
Yeah, I think you're right. It will be great to sit down with somebody from a band or an artist or from a label or someone like that, and have a discussion. But also, there's a couple of people I think that would be very interested. One is Feed, which is an incredible platform that we use for Facebook and Instagram advertising in music, and they would definitely be interested in this conversation and give us sort of like their views. But mainly artists. Yeah, I mean, most of you probably know as much, if not more, of what we've been talking about. That wasn't our purpose. Wasn't to sort of like give you some news or something like that. It's a discussion. It's like how we received it, how we see it. So how you see it, that'd be really, really good. Contact us directly here on this video, or we're gonna put a form up on publicpressure.org/NTF. NFT, and yes, let's see if this conversation can be continued, and if maybe you have suggestions, maybe there's some platform that we missed out. There already some doing something incredible, and give it a try. I mean, the problem with many NFT platforms is that are by invitation or only, but I think there is a Rarible that actually is quite open, and you can experiment there. And yes, let us know anything. I mean, is a new game, so any comment, any information is vital.
Yeah, let's design it together. That would be cool.
Let's design it together. Yeah, we would definitely love to do that. Sergio, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the fun part of this
Yeah,
phase of life. Like you can sit with people and listen, and by listening, you understand where the future is going to be setting.
yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna try to go for the race with public pressure and Sergio and see what comes up. Just the fact that we want to discuss it and participate, hopefully, is gonna help the discussion, the overall discussion over blockchain, how blockchain can transform the music industry, and and yes, NFT. I think it's a simple, easy proposition for everybody to get involved, whether they are players, fans, or producers, artists, and so on.
I'm still thinking that the name public pressure is going to mean that you're going to put pressure in the industry to democratize the distribution of value. That's,
Yeah,
I mean, every time I think about that, I'm thinking that that's the play.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but it's
yeah,
going to be by creating new source of income, or it's going to be about pushing into a different model, but it's about how do we make the artist earning more money quicker and actually creating a better community. That every time I go back to the game, I always think about these free drivers.
yeah. I think it's obviously it's like would be fantastic. I mean, to even have a shot at it. But I think that now is the moment for the boutiques, if you know what I mean. Until the big giant comes in, and that's how it is every time. So but there is, I think, now space for a few boutiques. At least there is now space for networks like Public Pressure to say, hey, this is our white paper, which is, by the way, it's explain what a white paper is. It's a proposition, isn't it? In a way.
But the white paper, because I mean, blockchain has always been very mathematics, let's put it away. So cryptography, the algorithm for the incentive in mining Bitcoin and releasing Bitcoin. So actually the format under which this protocols has been launched is a sort of academic paper, because if you look at the white paper, it's very similar to an academic paper where you no, make your introduction, look at the research, build arguments, and then suddenly come to your formula and your solution to things and explain why it's better than anything else. So that's where I think the word paper came up, because paper is a very academic definition of a document. If you do a PhD, you work on papers. If you do academic research, you write papers. Every academic talks about paper. And the fact that it was called white, to be honest, I need to do research, but I think is the beginning. No, I don't know where the why comes from. Actually, you asked me a question. I was thinking right now and answering, and I said, now I have to Google and understand, because I never asked myself why it's white and not red. Like, for example,
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
so now I have to go and have a look at it.
So yeah, we are approaching the hour. So any conclusion? If you got any other question for me, or do I have a question for you?
No, not really. Apart from giving you, if you want, the responsibility to create the follow-ups. Apart from that, I think
Oh no, definitely.
we introduced quite well the topic. But again, it would be nice to share thoughts with someone that doesn't understand technology but understand very well industry. So the
Yes,
music
definitely,
industry.
definitely. Hopefully, it will happen, and we can sort of like carry on this conversation with more actors. That would be really good. In the meantime, of course, I hope that me and you can have loads of other discussion in the background about the project, or maybe who knows? Maybe we decide to make it live and start to do a
But
sort of reality TV
definitely that's
approach.
the goal. Definitely that's the goal. But
Right. Okay.
we're
So
gonna stay stealth a little bit, because we really need to figure out what's the value,
yeah,
what's the
yeah.
business model innovation, and that's where I think even the engagement with the domain expert, it would be really nice. So in a certain way, we create something, we put at a disposal of something which is very useful. And consider we have the opportunity to do this sort of research. I think that that's like the most important exercise in designing the project and bringing it live.
So, obviously, this is on your channel, and then it's going to be on Public Pressure as well. Today is Tuesday. It's going to be on Public Pressure either Thursday or Friday. And I forgot to introduce Sergio. I mean, Sergio has been working on blockchain at governmental level. So he saw changes from the law point of view, the technological point of view, and it's someone that I've seen dedicated, basically, is literally his life in the last 5-6 years, I would say, to blockchain technology. So he made his bet. So he's all in, if you know what I mean. And so it's real pleasure to talk to somebody that is in for the long run.
I appreciate. Thanks for the chat, Alfredo.
Okay.
Yeah, like you have been in the long run on the music industry. I think we're talking about.
Mine is different. Mine is a biological disturb.
But that's where innovative things comes up when you have different domain expertise coming together and actually blending themselves into something.
Absolutely. So listen, please, I'm going to leave some links underneath and everything. Participate with the discussion and everything. You can register if you're interested at publicpressure.org/NFT. But even more important than that, just comment here with questions and sort of like insults or whatever you want, because that's the best thing. Just be yourself and tell us what you think. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alfredo.
Thank you, Sergio. Bye.
Bye.